Battle Report with Ben and Steve.
You know, Ben, there's nothing that I like more in a board game than a strong theme.
You know what I like in a game?
What's that?
They say in board gaming that it drips theme.
Yeah. So
You know what I mean?
I'm American. I'm naturally drawn to games that are very
with
like
story.
theme heavy. And the game that you have proposed for tonight is like the most thematic game I think we've played.
Fin de siècle, isn't it?
What's that?
Fin de siècle.
Is actually this game set at the end of the 19th century?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. So what about the game indicates that? Besides
it's more sort of the Jazz Age, I think. So like the Art Deco design.
Does the rule book indicate that?
So, welcome to the most exclusive gala night of the year. The most renowned luxury hoarders have already arrived, eager to exchange irresistible offers.
Did you say luxury hoarders?
Yeah.
Okay.
And screw each other over to build the greatest collection of all. We were just waiting for you to start. The Great Split.
So when I move the cubes on the tracks, do I do it in a kind of like jazzy manner?
Loosh.
Should I go
Loosh, decadent way.
Yeah, should I go put some like bloomers on or something?
You should do it like you do in the Charleston.
Yeah, I mean it's a good thing we're getting spifflicated.
Exactly. Was that a 1920s word for getting drunk?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I feel in my review of this that I wrote for the magazine, I described the art style as Fitzgeraldian.
It definitely it definitely has a kind of like Gatsby-esque quality that draws the eye in.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of games that are simply moving cubes up a track.
Right.
But they're not this pretty.
Do you know what our mutual friend Lemoncello called this game?
What?
Tracks. The game.
What's his favorite game, by the way, of late? That's also like tracks the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. He's big into Tapestry, which is even more tracks the game.
Yeah.
At least here you have some player interaction. In Thingy, you just literally move something up a track.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm having some LOLs at the expense of like the thematic part of the game, but actually, having not even played it, I'm already attracted to this splitting card mechanism where you're kind of like something about divorce in this game.
No,
What is the split?
You're splitting your ill-gotten gains amongst other players to try and rip them off and get the better deal.
Oh, okay. Even better then. So you have to like make a difficult choice every turn, which is great.
Yeah.
You've got to split your cards. You have to pass the cards to your neighbor in the secret envelope.
Right.
I love the secret envelope.
Secret envelopes are great.
It gets passed back to you. You've got to like sort of hope that the other end of the deal that is rejected is good for you.
Right.
I think it's quite clever. I've not seen it before. I like this sort of splitting idea.
What's so amazing about Horrible Guild is they make their games look fucking gorgeous.
I like this envelope, okay?
This envelope's great. The art from Webberson Santiago is great. The color palette, the blue, green, and gold is really pretty. And I always go on about components not mattering, and they don't. But, this is nice. It's pretty.
And I would guess that this kind of game also levels the playing field a little bit if you're seated at the table with someone who is prone to trying to analyze the entire game state and run an algorithm in their brain in order to
faulty algorithm usually
to lead them to the most desirable conclusion, because you can't predict what people are going to hand you.
Exactly.
You don't have perfect information.
And also, hey, come on now.
It's just a term of art.
Come on now. Anyway, so I've played this a bit, and this is my go-to filler at the moment. And the reason being is it doesn't last longer with more players. It goes up to 7, and because it has that 7 Wonders feel, it lasts you 20, 30 minutes. It lasts the same amount of time with 3 players as it does with 7, which I think is fucking great.
That's amazing.
Which is great, right?
Because there's a lot of simultaneous action.
Yeah, because it's all simultaneous action.
Okay.
I said simultaneous then.
Yeah.
I feel a little sick.
Why can't you say simultaneous?
Because that's American. It's simultaneous.
Simultaneous. You just have to be different, don't you?
No, I'm English. I'm not different from my fellow countrymen. What do you say?
I mean, you have to be different.
It's simultaneous.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be different from the majority population that speaks English.
No.
Which I guess is probably India.
Should we? Yeah, exactly.
Which speaks it more like you do.
Do Indians say simultaneous? If there any Indians listen to this,
Karthik,
for instance.
Right? Does he listen?
I don't know whether he listens.
Well, he should.
He bloody should.
Yeah, why isn't he listening? Karthik, why aren't you
Hey,
listening?
Karthik, if you're not listening to this,
I would take that personally.
yeah, exactly.
I would take that personally.
So what are you excited about? What are you excited about? This is day one of CabinCon 2022.
Well, we've got the mead.
We've got mead,
That's
which is the nerdiest of all drinks.
That's pretty exciting.
I'm drinking scotch at the moment.
We are in a lovely and familiar board game house. This is a house of games,
I agree.
right? This house. So
The
Goslar,
delightful paintings on the wall.
Goslar, I think, is basically a board game city.
Yep.
Like we are basically in a board game right now.
I think Clemens Franz designed the city.
Yeah, and this house was put here in order for games to be played in it.
Right.
So I'm just excited to be spending the weekend doing that. Of this particular game, what am I excited about? I think I'm excited about the combo action.
Yeah.
Because I see the potential for it. I already see, like, I'm given a bit of an indication what to focus on because I have this character card that gave me an initial boost up one of the tracks. So I'm thinking, do I want to focus on books?
Yeah.
What do I have to move in order to, like, maximize my book? My book track here?
I think you deserve a couple of games as well because you've been working so hard on your new album recently. I think you deserve. You've been in the studio.
I wasn't really ready to talk about this until the drop.
Oh well, this is for patrons. They can get a bit of a fucking.
Okay.
So just for the patrons, Steve's releasing an album called Moods.
Right. I'm not really. We should be very clear about what it is an album of.
Yeah.
It is just an album.
yeah.
There's nothing in the album.
There's no music. No.
No.
It's an album.
It's not music. We're just releasing an album. But yeah, I spent a lot of time on it.
That's the second album released on 5G4D recordings.
What's the first one?
Cuts from the Cabin.
That's a proper album.
Yeah.
But this is still an album.
Yeah.
It's a real album, and
album.
It will be released.
Yeah.
I think I leaned against that window for like 7 minutes.
We were waiting for the sun to get the right angle. Taking that picture was hard.
It's just one of the many benefits that you receive for being a 5 Games for Doomsday patron.
Yeah, you get the album cover of the definite album, Moods, by Steven Sarek.
When's it going to be a t-shirt?
I don't know, I'll have to speak to my merch guy. But he's a Patreon backer, so Tim, you know what you need to do.
So who's going to win?
That's a good question.
The Great Split.
Who won the last time we played this, Marios?
I think it was probably nameless guy from Rudy's.
It was me! I won it last time, so I'm confident that I'm going to come last this time.
Well, I'm drinking mead, you're drinking whiskey. Marios is drinking milk. So we're going to have to see which beverage powers us up the most.
So,
I've got that feeling, Ben.
interesting.
The discovering a great new game feeling.
How did you describe the effect that this game gave you? This is behind the paywall. So the first section is not behind the paywall. This is full behind the paywall, so you can be as explicit as you like.
Yeah, I believe that I intimated that it elicits turgidity.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thing is, you get old now. Can you handle,
Oh my God.
Can you handle the blood rushing away from your head?
Any opportunity to like send some blood to an oft neglected region.
Off neglected. I bet you're at it like Rabbitry, your miss, isn't you?
Yes. For the record,
So your missus
Yes.
is a patron, so she could listen to this, but she doesn't listen, I guarantee you.
I mean, I hope she does. She's on it sometimes.
Well, how do you feel? I was going to ask you this
Sam,
earlier.
if you're listening to this, please send me an awkward text.
I was going to ask you this earlier, like sort of off mic, but I can do it now.
Yeah.
So how do you
I
feel?
hide nothing from the patrons.
So how do you feel about Sam?
If you're a patron, it's like you're in my bedroom with me.
Yeah.
All the time.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine. No, seriously, if you're listening to this right now, I want you to imagine it.
What are you
Are you
doing
ima-
in your bedroom?
Are you imagining it?
What are you doing in your bedroom?
Snoring.
Oh, there's no kissage.
Organizing my t-shirts, like very carefully folding them,
Yeah.
using the Marie Kondo method, standing back and actually putting my hands on my hips, standing akimbo with my
Yeah.
my arms akimbo, looking at the carefully organized t-shirts placed just so in my drawer.
So for this trip, right?
and you're standing there next to me, patron.
So for this trip, right?
Yeah.
I'm very much like my mother in this. So my mother, I'm sure I've mentioned this before. She would go on a holiday every year to Blackpool.
Yep.
and she would come back
It's
from...
like the Coney Island of
exactly.
of the Midlands.
It's called the Vegas of the North, actually.
Whatever.
So, what she would do is she would come back and she would wash all the clothes that she'd worn during a trip to Blackpool. She would dry them, iron them, put them in a suitcase, and put it under the bed. She packed a year in advance.
She sounds like my kind of woman.
So, I don't quite go that far, but I packed the night before, and I packed all my shit, and I stood above my suitcase with an incredible feeling of adult satisfaction of having packed.
I think you're very good at preparing for trips because you don't really think about the future.
Right, exactly.
Like you,
What's that mean?
You actually have like no sense of like consequences for decisions.
Okay.
You just sort of like you go into it.
What do you mean?
You rush headlong.
But I prepare for trips.
Yeah, but you forget shit. Or,
No, what have I forgotten?
I mean, you have in the past.
Come on, what have I forgotten?
I mean, sometimes you forget your recording
Come
equipment.
on, I never forget my recording
I mean,
equipment.
how many times have I heard you, while we're walking along, suddenly stop and go, "Oh fuck."
Never.
Never. Okay. Maybe I've got you all wrong.
Anyway, so how do you feel about... I was going to ask you this off camera, but
Ben's having a sip of mead.
just having a sip of mead. So
Why does mead go so well with board games?
Because it's the nerdiest drink known to man.
Because we don't really drink mead on a regular basis.
No. So, how do you feel about your good lady wife making her full 5G4D debut in a couple of weeks?
What's going on?
We're
I've only heard like whispers and
playing
noises
that
about this.
button shy 18 card role playing game together.
When is that happening?
Well, when she gets back from the States, when she's got time.
Okay,
We're going to record it.
The two of you have to schedule together.
Yeah.
Something.
That's going to work. It's fine.
Okay.
And it's about breaking up. So we're going to do some acting about breaking up.
Oh.
Oh.
Whoa,
What do
very
you think?
exciting.
Are you resentful? Are you a little bit scared that she'll be better than you?
Better than me at what?
Like, you know, banter and that, being on the podcast and that.
Yes, my wife is better than me at everything.
Yeah.
Like being a human being.
Is she better than you at getting
it's-
semi-ons playing games?
At being able to like create sentences without
No.
stumbling
You see,
over your words.
See, I'm eating wasabi bloody peanuts.
So professional.
No.
Recording a podcast drunk while eating.
No. This is the true gaming experience. You'll feel like, when you hear me chewing, like, although you feel nauseous, hear me chewing, you're getting the sitting round the table gaming experience. It's like you're here with us.
People come up to you at cons and they're like excited to meet you.
Yeah.
And if you are among those people who've done that, you haven't gotten the full Ben Maddox
No, you haven't sat
experience.
around the table and watched me lose at games.
Yeah.
And
And lose your shit at the same time.
So, at the moment, what are the current tallies? I'm on 39, Marios is on 30, and Steve Alicious herring into the fucking lasty with 21 of your human points.
I mean, you both have the advantage of having played this before.
Oh, yeah.
But I have a question. How much does endgame scoring cause you to leap ahead, Jana style?
Endgame scoring is a thing. She does that, doesn't she? Do you notice that?
Yes, she does.
She looks like she's losing, and then at the end of the game...
And the whole game, she's just like, oh, I'm not doing very well, am I?
So she doesn't back the patron anymore because her credit card, German credit card, stopped working.
Oh, well, she's got to get a new credit card.
I agree with you. Anyway,
So if you're listening to this, please tweet
at 5
G
games for
Doomsday.
hashtag
Get on it, Jana.
Steve Alicious, hashtag Battle Report,
Hashtag more Steve in the feed.
hashtag Battle Report with Ben and Sam.
Fuck you!
God, when Satan wins, we all lose, Stephen.
I mean, I would say a little piece of me has died tonight.
Yeah.
But he's already taken so many little pieces over the years.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's left. I mean, it's sort of like Zeno's paradox, but my soul.
Exactly.
He takes half every time.
Exactly. Yeah, so what do you think then? The Great Split by Horrible Guild.
I think this might be the sleeper hit of Essen.
You think?
Yeah, here at Marios, there's a Silgelica pack that was left over in the game box. Why don't you eat that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Delicious.
Keep you dry. Yeah. So actually people were talking about it, but
Not enough people.
not gamers particularly, more sort of people in the industry. were talking to me about it. And I think it is... So I wrote in my review that it has an element...
Hjalmar Hach and Lorenzo Silva.
Yeah.
I know Lorenzo Silva. I don't know if I know Hjalmar.
Hjalmar's the guy whose dad was a prominent Nazi.
Okay, I like the name Hjalmar, though.
Yeah.
Seems like Nordic.
It is Nordic, yeah.
Yeah.
So...
Like Icelandic, like from an Icelandic saga. Like his ancestors like murdered their neighbor farmers over like some kind of sheep theft incident.
You're a big bloke with a beard if you're called Hjalmar.
Yeah,
Except
yeah.
Hjalmar isn't.
No, he's not.
He's very thin and tall.
Well, for now.
So,
He is a gamer after all.
this is... In my review... Sorry, I'm eating.
Yeah, very professional. You're at the table, listeners.
You're at the table
You're
with us. So,
I'm going to eat too, fuck this.
yeah, fuck it. This, I wrote in my review that it has Knizian elements to it.
Yeah, I mean, the one scoring mechanism is obviously borrowed from him, right?
Yeah, but also, Knizia's best games have this element of trying to manipulate the other players around the table into doing what's beneficial for you.
Yeah.
And that is inherent in this game, right?
Yeah.
You're trying with that split, that central decision, which is the engine of the game.
Yeah.
You are trying to make other people bow to your will.
How is it different from other of these, like, I split, you choose type games?
You know, I think it's just... It's so pure that it focuses around that central decision. But, you know, just... So Marius was talking about it. So the tracks element, which looks very sterile, but is actually a really great decision point. The tracks element propels your decision on the split.
Yep.
And so what's so great about this is that it's not just one idea, it's a couple of ideas, but they interact with each other beautifully. This is a game, and the other game they released at Essen this year, which was Evergreen. Mm-hmm. Both of these games feel like beautifully honed machines. There's real care in the design of these games. They care about the game working to its optimum, and it's so admirable. Especially, I think we live in a gaming age in which great ideas and great game mechanics, people often feel that that's enough for a design. You know what I mean?
Well, I think there needs to be like a coherence to it. You can't just like have a grab bag of mechanisms.
Yeah.
I want some of that.
Like Maracaibo, for instance.
Little mead.
Like just throw... So the game that I felt that I played recently that is the most...
I'm going to let that Maracaibo comment just go by.
That is most indicative of the Silver Age is Bitoku.
I haven't played that one.
Bitoku feels like the designer just got a load of mechanisms, put them in a bag, and then poured them on a board.
I mean, this is how I felt about Septima when I demoed it at Essen. I didn't dislike it, but I'm playing like multiple games on
I
the
actively
same
disliked
board.
Bitoku. It just felt utterly incoherent. And what's so vital?
It's the coherence that I'm sort of talking about. Like, okay, so you can criticize this game for not having a theme, but when I play a game that has this sort of like grab bag of mechanisms feel, then to me, that doesn't have. I need to like work out the argument here. Okay, this game doesn't have any connection between the theme described in the rule book and the mechanisms of the game, but it is a coherent game that holds together. Everything makes sense. You can think along with the game. You can plan along with the game. Let me finish the thought.
Okay, sorry.
Because I'm in the middle and I'm going to lose it. But there are these games where you've got like a rondelle over here, and you've got like an auction mechanism over here, and you've got like a take that section over here, and there's like so much going on. Maybe there's like some thematic sense to it, and maybe you even like buy into some connection between the theme and some of these mechanisms, but the game doesn't cohere. So it's sort of like it lacks the sense of the
mechanical
theme.
Cohesion.
It's like the theme of this game is that it's a board game, right?
Right.
A board game should be a board game. Help me here. Help me.
As
with
I
this.
say so often, board games are mechanical art forms. So as C.T. Newen said on the interview...
Like, it's like, I feel like sometimes I'm not really playing a board game. I'm playing, like, an idea that could be a board game.
Right. So C.T. Newen said in the interview that I did with him that the reason board game criticism often falls down is because they're not criticizing board games. They're criticizing narratives. They're criticizing books or films, and they're applying those criteria onto games. Games are primarily mechanical art forms. Games are things that deliver experience through mechanism. That's why it's called design and not writing or whatever, right? And so, theme or not, when a game is mechanically sound, then it functions as a game. So we played quite a lot of Arkham Horror LCG over the last weekend.
Super thematic.
Super thematic, but it is thematically, it is mechanically solid. Without the solid mechanisms, it's no game.
I mean,
right?
look, there's no... I don't think there's like a thematic game where you couldn't strip away the theme and still have the game. Even the most thematic games, like War of the Ring.
So for instance,
it wouldn't necessarily make sense, but I mean, you could do it. So
you said when we played Arkham Horror, right?
Yeah.
This has feelings of Seventh Continent.
Yeah.
But there's a fundamental difference between Seventh Continent and Arkham Horror. Is that Arkham Horror is a game. It is mechanically rigorous and asks you to make the kind of decisions that games demand of you. Whereas Seventh Continent is a shitty book, basically. It's like a crap book.
Choose your own adventure sort of thing.
Exactly. So
maybe we didn't give it a good enough chance, though.
I have no desire to go back to it. But this is purity of mechanisms. They have worked to make the mechanisms interact with each other in such a seamless, beautiful manner that they create the kind of decisions that give you the kind of endorphins that draws people into games.
This is the point.
Right?
I, as a player, am like, this is going to sound a bit dumb, but I'm included in the game somehow.
Right.
It's not just this, like, think piece where the game is not delivering to me an experience that I can like integrate my thinking into the game.
Oath doesn't give a shit whether you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oath is masturbatory. Whereas the best games, that's what Knizia never forgets. The best games are about evoking interactions around a table.
I mean, there are some games that have like so much going on and so many mechanisms, you just feel kind of lost in them. And it's like the game exists only to be an artifact of its own cleverness.
Right.
And
it's like a Salman Rushdie novel.
Like, you can never really become good at them, and you may never want to. This game, though, The Great Split, I think you could actually become pretty good at it. You could, like, delve into it. Yeah. Because, again, it sounds like kind of dumb. I feel like I can integrate my experience with the mechanisms of the game, because the game is sort of like, it's like open to me as a player or something like that.
And you have emergent dynamics. A very clever thing is the card you get at the beginning, which kind of sets you on gives you a little head start, gives you a direction.
Yeah, it's really, really, really useful, actually, to have that.
And that really sort of dictates what you will subsequently do. And so I love games that give you a path into the game. Mm-hmm. A game that does this wonderfully is Trajan. You get those couple of cards that kind of give you an indication of what you should go for at the beginning of the game. And that's brilliant. Games that aren't... This is why I'm not a big fan of big sort of sandbox games. Games that say you can just do anything.
Yeah.
Because they always seem...
We don't want to just do anything. We actually want limited choices, I think.
Absolutely. The joy comes in the limitation. In any art form, right?
That's the genius of this game. This or that. Right? You don't have a lot of choices. Every turn you have one choice.
Yeah, and...
That's great.
And it does it perfectly. And it does...
The problem with these Silver Age games is like, like coming from a sort of like computer science angle, it's like the cardinality of choice. Like for every group of choices, I have to like multiply that number of choices against all the other choices in the game, and then it just ends up being impossible for me to like think my way through the game. It's like arbitrary what I do in the end.
This is why Knizia is so revered, I think. Is because he has a laser focus on the experience he wants to deliver. And he does not get distracted by potential interactions. He's like, this is what I want. And great art is about this. So little great art, and there are some notable exceptions, but so little great art is sprawling and unfocused. So much of it knows exactly what its intention is.
Yeah, and Knizia is like the Shakespeare of board games. I mean, there are quite a few of his games that are like Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, but he's also got his Comedy of Errors and his
Henry VI Part
Henry
1
VI
and 2.
Part 1 and 2. Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And he's got his experimental.
Do you think you get this on other fucking podcasts?
No, not a
Fucking
one.
Shakespeare analogies.
I'm not even sure you get this on other non-board game podcasts.
Right, exactly. Are we the best?
Why do people listen to other podcasts?
At this point, I don't even know why I'm going to fucking sack you in favour of your missus.
What?
Whether you would like to admit it or not, you made this Battle Report possible. So thank you again, and hold on to your trousers for another exciting Battle Report coming soon.